From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Greetings to everyone around the world. This is Badass Counseling Show, and I am the host, Sven Erlandson. Whether you are tuning in from Lake Pontchartrain in the southern U.S. all the way up to Lake Winnebagoshus, whether you are out west in Berkeley or in the south in Atlanta in the Buckhead, it's great to have you here. We appreciate your joining the show, as to all of our friends in Canada, down under, and across all of Europe and Africa as well. We have so many listeners around the world. I've got KC over here in the booth joining me in studio, as well as Rob the Rocket running the whole machine. Rob.
Good day, sir.
Good day to you.
Let me ask you, do you ever feel like John Coffey in The Green Mile, that you hear all these people so much pain that you're carrying the weight of all this pain on your own shoulders, the weight of the entire world? Do you ever feel that way?
No. And let me tell you why. It's funny you bring that up. I actually had a client at one point, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, a veterinarian. And I asked him about that with regard to all his pets that he takes care of. And he does large animal as well as small animal. And I said, man, doesn't it weigh on, because I like pets. I like animals. Not as much as you and your wife do, but I like animals and stuff. And I said, doesn't it get hard? And he said, no. He says, if I'm really, really honest, I have to give myself permission at the end of the day to, when I leave the office, to not care. That I do what I can in office, and then after that, it's really out of my control, because it would burn you out. And that's what burnout, in any industry, of course, but especially helping professions.
Gotcha. That's interesting. You're uniquely suited for this, my friend.
I don't know. Plus, I do all my crap to keep myself healthy, my journaling, all the stuff you guys hear me talk about. I do it. All right, Rob, what have we got today? We have a man today, and a real freaking man today. Tell me about TJ.
All right, Sven. TJ wrote in and said, I was married for 21 years and was working out of town, and my wife was cheating on me, and my son came and told me. I lost another son to brain cancer in 2003. I'm a very hardworking man. I have never been without a job over a couple days. I'm very skilled at what I do, but I have financial problems now. I have a problem showing empathy. I have a problem showing people that I love them, even though that I do, I cannot show them. I asked my partner to marry me 2 months before she was diagnosed with breast cancer. I told her I was going to stay in. I begged her to stay, and she told me I need to go. She does not want me to see her go through chemo and lose her hair. My partner told me that my mom told her to let me go to Vegas to make good money and work on my relationship with my daughter, because it would be too hard for me because my son died from cancer. I didn't want to go, but I respected her wishes, and it's the worst decision I ever made. I just haven't been able to get my life back on track and make good decisions without second-guessing myself. I've failed everybody in so many ways. I have made so many bad decisions, and I just want to start trusting myself so I could start moving forward in my life. I'm not the person I want to be right now.
TJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. So let's get to work. First of all, I am so sorry that you lost a son to cancer. How old was he when he died?
He was 2.
Oh, goodness sakes. And you guys probably hadn't been married very long then at that point.
No, I think we were married 1 year. We got married about 2 months after he was born.
Gotcha. And then you, years later, after 21 years, discover that she was cheating on you. And you go on to say that you have problems showing empathy and a problem showing people that I love them, even though I do. I cannot show them. Why do you think you have a problem showing empathy or showing love? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. People come to me and say that I don't know how to express my love. I don't do things for them. I think it's more so just what people tell me, that I don't show them that I love them. And
okay, that's fair. I appreciate your answer, TJ. Let me ask you this. If you, let's say, have a woman that you love, and you obviously have loved at least 2 in your life, because you mentioned your wife and then your most recent partner, I guess. In those cases, let's just start with the basics. Would you say to the woman you love, I love you, or wow, you look so beautiful tonight, or, I'm lucky to be with you, or do you say things like that?
Absolutely.
Okay. And let me ask you this.
I don't think so much in my marriage.
Okay.
But after, doing an inventory of that marriage and things I could do better, I have applied them to this relationship.
And what do you think the reason was? That's a really good, interesting point. What do you think the reason was in your first marriage that you didn't really say those things very much? What do you think the reason was?
Different personalities. We were more just good people, loving each other, and we didn't need the extra reassurance.
Although it sounds like maybe she did.
Yeah.
Is that accurate, or am I off on that one?
I think you're very accurate, and like I said, that's why after the divorce, I kind of took the inventory of how things went, and I've changed a bunch of things in myself for that.
Good for you. So then, with the partner then that got cancer, and with that one, you would tell her nice things too. I mean, things you really meant, not just blowing smoke up her ass, but you would tell her nice. Oh yeah. Tell her you love her and stuff like that.
Yep. I tell her, I say good morning, beautiful every morning. I still do to this day.
That's great. So wait, you guys are back together now? Is that what you're saying?
We're trying to work through things.
And what's the hardest thing that you guys are working through right now?
Well, the cancer, me leaving for cancer really is a struggle for her.
Why? And wait a minute. Just so I'm clear, why is that a struggle for her if she literally told you, please leave because I'm going to lose my hair, which I understand. You guys had not been dating a long time. And then she realizes she's going to lose her hair, which is a tremendous loss for a lot of women. Fear of looking ugly, fear you're just doing it to pity me and all that. So she says, leave. And your mom told her, you need to leave, or, he needs to leave. You need to tell him to leave, which is really fucked up on your mom's part, by the way. But anyway,
I agree.
Okay, good. So what's the problem then with you leaving? Is she pissed now that you left?
Yes. 2 weeks after I left, she begged me to come back.
Okay.
And I stayed.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, how long ago was that?
This was 2001. Or sorry, 2021.
2021. So that was 3 years ago. Okay. Yeah. And then you stayed and you worked and so forth. And are you guys in the same city now or same town now or near each other? You are.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if I'm hearing you correctly then, TJ, and you correct me if I'm wrong. I don't mind being wrong. Okay. I just want to understand. If I'm hearing you correctly, then she's holding it against you that you didn't go back after 2 weeks? Okay. Okay, let me ask this question. Why didn't you go back? I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming you. I just want to know why you didn't go back.
One, I was trying to take care of my finances, which throughout the whole thing I did not. And also, I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford the fuel to drive back, and I wasn't going to ask her for any money to do that.
Fair enough. And let me ask you this. In you guys' discussions over that move now, and it's been 3 years, but in you guys' discussions now, it sounds like she's sort of trying to hold you accountable for leaving or for not coming back. Does she hold herself accountable for pushing you away in the first place?
She does for saying go and letting me go, but then she says that she told me to come back and I should have came back.
Well, okay.
The bottom line to me is I should have never left.
Well, wait a minute. I know. And you know what, TJ, the way you ended your whole write-in to us was, I failed everybody in so many ways. I made so many bad decisions. Just want to start trusting myself moving forward. I'm not the person. You sound like the kind of guy you're probably in a state of beating yourself up a bit right now, it sounds like. And so, when you look back at that decision, gee, I should have never left. Yeah, that may be true. But dude, you did your best. So you were trying to love the woman. You were trying to tell her, I want to be here through cancer. It sounds to me like you're almost like pleading with her. It's like, no, I want to stay with you. Why don't you get that? And then she pushed you away. It's like, I'll be really honest. For some guys, and you tell me if this applies to you or not, and maybe it doesn't, and it's okay if it doesn't. Just tell me the truth. for some guys, you put your heart out there for a woman, and then if she rejects it, it's just heartbreaking. It's like, you don't want to keep fucking trying. It's like, I've been trying to love you. I've been trying to stay here and be with you. I'm trying to convey that I love you. And then she says, no, go away. It's just like, part of me, if I were in your position, this may not be you, so I don't want to put words in your mouth. A part of me would shut down. It's like, because, okay, you're telling me to go away. That means I have to close off a part of me in order to be able to turn my back on you and go. Because if I don't turn my back on you, I won't be able to go. I won't be able to stay out there. So it's like, it breaks my heart, and it's just like, how am I supposed to do this? I have to. Does any of that resonate with you, TJ?
No. The reason why is when I met her, she has a lot of trauma, and she has abandonment issues, and nobody's stuck with her.
Right. Are you tearing up a little bit right now, TJ?
Yeah.
And what's causing you to tear up? I'm guessing you were tearing up when I was saying those things. What's causing you to tear up?
That I made a promise to her that I wouldn't give up on her. And throughout all the promises I've broke with her, that's what promise I am trying to keep. I have a hard time turning my back on her. It's extremely harder to do that when I left her for cancer. I understand, she told me to, and, stuff like that. I made a promise to her. I used to be a man of my word. I broke so many promises with her, and I don't want to break this one.
And you say, I don't want to break this one. Like, there's a chance of you breaking it again, or are you still thinking about that incident back from 2021?
I haven't broken that I'm going to give up on her or leave her or anything like that. Yeah.
So you're still talking about on this promise of not leaving her, always staying by her. You're talking about when you did it back in 2021, you mean?
Right.
Okay. And that makes you sad that you turned your back on her and left when you had previously promised to, always stand by her side. Is that right?
Right.
TJ, I can totally understand why that breaks your heart. I can totally understand why you feel you let her down. I can totally understand that, man. And you were in a hard spot. And plus you had, just out of curiosity, I know your mother was pressuring her. Was your mother pressuring you as well?
Yes, at the end.
First of all, for our listeners, you can't see TJ. I can. TJ is a giant of a man. He's bigger than me. So this is a very large man with he's big. And so for a guy like this to be opening up and being honest and sharing his emotions and talking about love and his commitment to this woman, it's a very powerful thing for me. And I think we're all sort of feeling it right now, TJ. TJ, I listened to your story as an outsider, that part of your story, and I'm really having problems with you beating yourself up. TJ, you did what you could. You had the two most important women in your life at the time, your mother and this woman you loved, telling you to go away. Now, there are a whole lot of men out here where it's like, you tell a guy to go away when he's trying to love you. You tell him to go away, and eventually he will. And you can't keep pushing him away, expecting him to keep coming back. Eventually he'll go away. I lived that. I had a woman that I loved very much. She kept pushing me away, and eventually I left. And years later, she wanted me back. And I'm like, dude, that train left the station years ago. Okay, so I guess what I'm getting at here, TJ, is you're wrong. You're wrong in beating yourself up. You are wrong in saying you failed her. You didn't fail her. I'm telling you as an outsider, you are wrong in always taking the blame. I can tell you're that type of guy. It's like, oh, I fucked up, and oh, God, I'm such a fuck up and shit like that. You're wrong. In this case, you were trying to love the woman. You specifically said in your write-up, I begged her to stay. I begged for a big dude like you, hardworking dude like you, to say I begged a woman to let me stay and be by her side. Then she pushes you away. I'm sorry. I'm sure she's a wonderful woman. I am sure she's a wonderful woman. Obviously, she is. Otherwise, you wouldn't be with her, right? But she screwed up. And I don't like the fact that now she's still 3 years later, TJ, she's still trying to blame you and still upset about it. It's like, dude, ma'am, that's not okay. That's not okay. At some point, you either got to forgive the man or get rid of him, because it's one or the other, because he tried. TJ, I'm just going to take a pause here. Rob, can I ask you to weigh in on this? Am I off the mark on this?
No, not at all, Sven, and I can identify to a degree, not
How's that?
Totally, but in terms of a woman essentially making it impossible to stay, and then you leave, and then in this case, years later, gee, you were really wonderful, I would like you back. You're right. It's too late. So you have to deal with it in the moment of what's going on.
She said it 2 weeks later. She said she wanted them back 2 weeks later, but he was already gone.
Yeah.
And and she's still beating him up for it 3 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
TJ, okay, so we got two. It's not just me being crazy here. Rob's older and wiser than I am, and we're both like, dude, you did your best. So the problem now is if you choose to say that to her, and you don't have to, I'm not pushing you, okay? But if you were to choose to stand up and say, sweetheart, I love you, I adore you, but this has got to end. You can't doubt my commitment to you, all right? I'm here now, and I tried to be here then. This can't keep coming up. So you need to do what you need to do, honey, talking to her. You need to do what you need to do to end this, because otherwise, the thing is, TJ, is people, if we give people that power, they'll just keep beating us over the head with it. Unless they're, a good person doing the right thing. And I'm sure she's a good person. What's the scariest part for you in your interactions with your girlfriend? What is the scariest thing for you to do in your interactions, or the hardest thing for you to say, or what's the hardest part for you in your interactions and sort of when you guys are having serious conversations? What's the hardest part?
Telling her my feelings.
Like what? Like, what would be an example? And you can tell it to me now because I'm just a guy and you're just telling me about it. What would be a feeling that would be hard to tell her?
I'm doing the best I can because she throws that in my face. I will figure it out. She's tired of hearing it. She'll figure it out. She's tired of hearing me say, I'm sorry. She don't like it when I said that was my past. I'm going through counseling. I'm going through AA. I'm doing everything I can to be a better person, and she keeps up bringing up the past, and that pisses her off because she's tired of hearing it.
And how does it make you feel when she keeps bringing up the past? How does it make you feel? Find a feeling word. Mad, sad, bad, glad, frustrated, excited, calm.
Disappointed in myself.
Disappointed in yourself. So every time she brings up the past, it makes you feel disappointed in yourself. Okay.
Yes.
So it's almost like you'd really appreciate it if she didn't bring up the past because it keeps hurting you. Wouldn't it be nice? How would it feel? How would it feel, TJ, if you were with a partner who didn't bring up the past and who said nice things? Or does she say nice things to you and about you? And
she's very proud of me through working through my AA. She's really proud of me for working on myself. She's very proud of me for being such a hard worker.
That feels good. All those feel good. So what is she most wanting from you right now? What does she want?
She wants a God-fearing man, financial stability, loyalty, which I was talking with a counselor, and she had a couple on, and she said that a word to two different people could mean two different things.
For sure.
And loyalty to me is she's my one and only. I don't look at anybody else. Mm-hmm. I don't talk to anybody else. She's my one and only. And that is after being cheated on, that is one of my core values. You could, and then the counselor said, but you could also break loyalty down into so many pieces. And some people do that. And loyalty to her is respecting and honoring her. And when we would get in fights, I would, after my divorce, my mom was my relief, right? And I'd go to my mom and talk about the situations instead of talking it through with her. And she said that was disrespectful and wasn't honoring her.
Okay. And that was after the divorce. Just out of curiosity, how does your girlfriend treat you when you tell her what's going on inside of you?
She gets defensive and fires back.
Gee, I wonder why you don't want to go to her with your problems. I'm not trying to be a dick here, but if I were, for instance, if I were to tell Rob about something that's going on in my life, or I tell Casey about something that's going on in my life, and they took it personally or they made me feel bad for it, do you really think I'm going to fucking tell Casey about that again or tell Rob about that again? Of course not. Of course not. It's just like that. It just hurts. So it's not fair. It's like she's got you trapped in this weird corner. She wants you to bring your problems to her, it sounds like. But then on the other hand, when you do, she gets defensive. It's like, I'm going to be honest with you, TJ. It's not fair that she gets to tell you what's wrong with you. And presumably you don't get to tell her where she could improve. Okay. But also you can't even open up your feelings. It's like, I don't understand. What the hell are you supposed to do? I genuinely don't understand here.
I don't know. That's why I'm trying to fix myself.
I understand.
So I could be better.
Okay. Let me ask you this. What would it be like for you? And this might be like a foreign language to you, and that's okay. Okay. What would it feel like to you to say to the woman you love, and I know this is going to sound weird, okay? Just trust me for a minute. What would it feel like to say to a woman you love when maybe she said something hurtful or brought up the past and it makes you feel disappointed in yourself? What would it feel like to say to her, you're hurting my feelings. That really hurt me. And to really genuinely mean it. Because when you say it makes you feel disappointed in yourself, disappointment is a hurt. It feels crappy. And so to say to someone you love and care about, and it's not easy for a lot of guys, not easy for some women, but to say, you're hurting me. It hurts me when you say that. What would that be like for you? Would you, and it's okay if it wouldn't feel good, or it's okay if you could never say it. We're just talking, all right? We're just talking. Would it feel really weird to say that to her if she hurt your feelings?
It would.
And what would be the weirdest part, or what would be the hardest part about saying you're hurting my feelings?
Me saying that, and then her saying that how much I've hurt her.
Okay. And you know what? And that happens. Even my girlfriend and I sometimes have that sort of conversation. It's okay for you to say in that situation, when you say you're hurting my feelings, or ow, or well, please stop hurting me. I mean, that's like hardcore. That's like master level shit for a lot of guys to be able to say that, because we always are taught, oh, feelings don't fucking matter, toughen up and all that bullshit, right? But to say that, if she responds, well, you've hurt my feelings, it's like, then my response would be, that doesn't make it okay. You don't get to just go around hurting my feelings just because I've hurt your feelings before. That's not okay. But also, it's okay to say this. We've talked about how I've hurt your feelings, and I'm open to talking about that again. But right now, we're talking about my feelings. And I have every right, just like you have a right to talk about your feelings, I have a right to talk about my feelings. I mean, that's just fair shit. That's just fair shit. Because otherwise what happens, TJ, is you're just always eating shit. You're just the shit stick. And that's not fair. And that's not love. So I'll be really honest with you. I don't doubt that you got shit you got to heal, and the drinking and everything. Hey, double thumbs up on that, man. I've been through that struggle. And I still struggle with that at times. I totally get it. All right? But despite the stuff you do wrong, that doesn't mean she's innocent and all this shit. She's got to be looking at her shit. Is she in therapy?
She was, when we broke up. She was going twice a day, but then the insurance stopped paying, so she stopped going.
Twice a day or twice a week?
Sorry, twice a week. I'm sorry.
Right. That's all right.
And then I told her I would pay for it.
Wow. And so you've been paying for it?
No. She said, no, it should be fine.
The old I don't need therapy thing. I'm not the problem. You're the problem? Is it
no,
a little...
She don't need that. She don't need me to help me.
Oh, I see. So she's getting therapy, but you're not paying for it.
She's not getting therapy, but she won't let me pay for it either.
Right. And I'll be very honest with you. I don't know the exact situation because I'm not talking to her. Okay. So I'm just sort of going from my experience here. Usually if someone doesn't want to go to therapy, they'll come up with the most clever answers for why they're not going to therapy. And I'll be very, very honest with you, TJ. Something stinks fishy in all of this. I'm sure she's a good woman. I'm not saying she ain't. Okay. But what I'm saying is, it could be that it's become easier for her to blame you for her problems, for you guys' problems. But the thing is, it takes two to tango, man. I mean, it really does in relationships. I talk about in my book, unhealthy people come in twos. So if she's going to say you're unhealthy, well, she's got some shit going on inside of her too. I guarantee it. All right. And she's got to be looking at her shit. But I want to dive into where the hell this all came from. And we're going to do that right after this short break.
I've been doing some real healing work in my life, and I mean hardcore. But I've been craving something new to level up. A friend of mine told me about this badass counselor. I gotta admit, I rolled my eyes. Then I watched a few of his videos, and yes, this is the guy. I went and got his audiobook, Badass Wisdom. Holy shit. Absolute ass-kicking, inspiring, deep, powerful shit, period. If you don't get this book, you're making a huge mistake. So do you got the guts to go big with your self-care? Go to badasscounseling.com, get the book Badass Wisdom now.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
And we are back with TJ. TJ, I want to ask you, you're kind of beating yourself up here, and you're obviously in a relationship where you let her beat you up. I'm just curious, and I'm not blaming you when I say you're allowing her to. It's just like when you've been conditioned to sort of eat shit, you just kind of do it. And the challenge is to begin to find where the hell I learned that, first of all. And then second of all, what comes after that, and to get all that out. But what comes after that is to inch by inch, little by little, begin to stand up for yourself. Okay, so I want to ask you, I'm really curious, TJ, this thing with your mom, this relationship with your mom, it may be a little bit of that. You don't mention your dad at all, but I'm just curious, where did you learn? Have you always believed that you're a fuck up? Because it sounds like that's what you're saying about yourself now. I've heard so many people, you haven't always believed you're a fuck up.
No.
When did you start believing you were a fuck up?
At the divorce.
And why at the divorce?
I went down a dark hole of drinking, and I kept on replaying situations and conversations throughout the 21 years and realized what I could have done more to where she wouldn't have cheated on me. What I could have done more to make her feel loved. And those things I have applied to this relationship mostly. Obviously, I feel like it wasn't enough, but I just felt like before I found out she was cheating on me, I was a proud man. I was excelling at my job. When you talk to your buddies or whatever, coworkers or whatever, I got a good woman. Mm-hmm. And I just started questioning myself pretty much from there. What did I do wrong to make her do this?
First of all, for my readers, you may not have read my stuff. You may not know my stuff, TJ, but my readers, my listeners, my followers know that you didn't do anything to make her cheat. If she was dissatisfied with you, she should have left you. Cheating, She didn't have to cheat. She chose to cheat. That's not because of what you did. That's because she didn't talk the shit out or she didn't leave you first. So technically, she didn't cheat because you did that shit. Okay, fine, fair enough. But you you basically were drinking heavily after the divorce. In other words, it broke your heart. You obviously had a lot of fucking pain, and the booze was to make the pain go away. And what the booze does, or the pills, or whatever it might be, it brings out a lot of that sadness. I'm sure you did a lot of fucking bawling your eyes out when you were doing that drinking, right? And in a way, that's why having that escape enables us to let some of those feelings out, sort of take some of the pressure out of the pressure cooker. And then you said, I could have done more. What do you think is the single biggest thing you could have done that would have made that relationship better? Single biggest thing.
Taking her out on dates, making things about her and me instead of only about the kids and working. And
taking her out, treated her like a lady, and just had a nice time together. You mean sort of regularly
without the kids, and
for sure. And you know what? When kids come into the equation, you know how it is. It's just like it's so easy for life to get wrapped up, and so that becomes the priority. And so the relationship itself decreases in priority, and it begins to wither. It's a great insight on your part. That's really great. And it's interesting. You made the comment earlier. I got a good woman. I used to tell my friends, and I believed, and they'd all say, I got a good woman. I knew I got a good woman. But it's fascinating. One of the problems is once we got something, once we have something, we don't tend it. I have it. It's fine. Now I got it. But it's like a garden. My parents were gardeners, and I make flowers and stuff because we like, my girlfriend especially likes the butterflies and the dragonflies, and so I have to tend that garden, water and pull the weeds out and shit like that. And it's like that. A relationship is like that. And what a hard lesson to learn, but in a way, what a good lesson to learn. Let me ask you, what would you say is or was the biggest message you got about yourself from your parents growing up? It might have been something they said, or just somehow you got the message. What was the message or messages that you got about yourself?
I guess it wasn't from my parents. It was from my mom's dad. You work hard and be honest.
Okay. Work hard and be honest. And do you feel like you've done that most of your life?
I have.
Yeah, you seem like that type of guy. All right, I believe you. And so if that was the message you got from Papa, which is a great message, A1 on that, then what message did you get from your own dad, or what message did you get from mom? It can be anything. It can be a message about life, or it can be something about like you.
I guess I'd have to dig deep down, and
Sure.
That would take time.
Sure.
I never got a real message from my dad.
Okay. And was your dad in your life? Were mom and dad married? Their dad was in your life and stuff? Did dad work
But my
a lot?
dad was.
Oh, go ahead.
He worked a lot out of town, but he was also alcoholic. And so what was he like around you? He never would play catch with me. He would just kind of do his own thing. You know what I mean? And so I just went off and did my own thing, play with my friends or whatever.
And so just out of curiosity, dad did his own thing, never wanted to play catch, which is a sad thing, when a father doesn't want to play catch with his son. And so let me ask you, what's the message of, you've got kids, you've had, and you, what do you think the message is that a kid gets when his own father doesn't want to be with them?
That I don't know that he's too busy for me.
That he's too busy for you. And so if he's too busy for me, then maybe if I'm that kid, I start to think I'm not really important. Might a kid think that?
Absolutely.
And let me ask you, if you think back to when you were 6 and 4 and 8, and you just want to play catch with your pop, what did it feel like when he wasn't around? Or you just wanted him to, teach you how to ride a bike, or you just wanted him to teach you how to turn a wrench? I mean, what did it feel like when your dad was off always doing his own thing? Give me a feeling word.
I guess lonely.
Lonely. That makes total sense. That's a good word. Good choice. Feel lonely. And I don't know about you, but when I've been lonely in my life, I feel sad too. Sad. And so to have your own father not want to be with you, you feel sad and you feel alone and you feel unimportant. So those were messages you got from your dad. He didn't ever say it, but you felt it. You felt unwanted. You felt alone, lonely, sad, unimportant. You see how a child could get those messages, even though he never said, "Oh, you're unimportant and you don't matter" and stuff like that. You got that message loud and clear. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. And so you're doing great here, buddy. You're doing just great. Okay. And so then, just out of curiosity, how did your mom treat you? What was mom like? What was your relationship like with mom? Was she around more?
She was always around.
Okay.
She was kind, loving, but she also had a temper.
Oh, wow. And when she was kind and loving, that's nice. Was she a good cook?
Absolutely.
What was the best thing your mom cooked?
My absolute favorite meal, I don't care if it's the summer or winter or whatever, is macaroni soup.
Hey, wow. I don't think I've ever had macaroni soup. Sounds delicious. Wow.
Oh, gosh. Stew meat. Oh, my God.
Stew meat.
My mom has a little problem of making it a little too hot for me, though.
Ah.
Yeah, it'll burn your palate.
All right. Fair enough. And so you said mom had a bit of a temper, though, too. What was mom's temper like? Or when would she get mad at you? Or when would she get mad in general? Or was she always mad? Or tell me about her temper.
She wasn't always mad, but I was a little hellion. I was hell bent on whatever I wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
When I would get in trouble and we would argue or whatever, and she put me in my room and she'd lose her temper and she would just say, "I wish you were never born." Stuff like that.
Oh, wow. A collective groan went through our studio here, all three of us. Rob said, when you said that, Rob said, "Oh dear." And I said, "Oh no." And Casey started shaking her head sadly. "I wish you were never born." Well, let's back up a second. A kid being a hellion, I was a hellion. One of my brothers, out of the six of us, two of us were hellions. I was a hellion. I was really into stealing stuff in junior high and jumping trains and all sorts of crap, breaking shit and breaking into like schools and stuff. And I write about in my book, I tell people, children shout loudest when feeling heard least. A child is going to act out, whether at 2 or 8 or 16, because they're so wanting love. They're so wanting attention. They're so wanting to be seen. They're so wanting just someone to give a shit about them, really give a shit about them, and to make them a priority. So you tell me you were a hellion back then? That was you just screaming for love. That was you just screaming for someone to give a shit, for real attention and to be kind and to care about you. And then, I pressed you on it and I said, so when mom's temper would go off, then what would she do or say? And you said, "I wish you were never born." And it's interesting that of all the messages that your mom ever said to you, that was the one you listed first. In fact, that was the only one you listed. Isn't that interesting? So I'm just curious, what was it for you, TJ, about that message, "I wish you were never born"? Why do you remember that? Or more importantly, what do you think of that? Would you ever say that to one of your kids? Have you ever said that to one of your kids?
No.
And why? Why have you never said that to one of your kids?
Because even in anger, I'm happy that I've had my kids, and I'm happy, even though when they're a pain in the butt, I still would trade them for nothing.
Okay. And you started to say, when I asked you that question, that's a great answer, by the way. When I asked you that question, you started to say, I asked you, would you ever say that to your kids? And you said, "No, I'd never." And then you stopped and you started a new sentence. I want you to finish that sentence. I'd never what?
I would never say that to them.
Why?
Because of the hurt that made me.
Exactly. Bingo. And there come the tears. Let those tears come, Daddy-O. Let them come. You're fucking A right. You would never say that to a kid. No one should ever say that to a kid, because you know the hurt that you felt. You know the pain that you felt when your mother, you came from her fucking womb. Your mother tells you, "I wish you had never been born." There are few things more cruel that you can ever say to a child than those exact words. Your mother drove a dagger into your heart every single time she said that. That's how you destroy a child. And then on top of it, you have a father who's not around. So your father isn't protecting you from that shit. And furthermore, she's not protecting you from his being absent. But her saying that, you had no one protecting you. You had no one protecting you. To say to a child, I wish you'd never been born, is one of the cruelest things you can ever say. You're damn right that hurt. And that was one of, if not the most powerful message of your life. One of two, for sure. That someone wished you had never born. And that's going to teach the child, I ain't worth a shit. I'm no good. I'm a loser. Nobody wants me. Nobody loves me. And so a child feels alone in this world because mom is saying, I don't want you. And dad, by his actions, we already established, he's making you feel lonely because he doesn't want you. So you've been alone the whole time. You have been alone the whole time, big boss. You've had no one. And that's why you're so fucking loyal to your women that you've had, your wife and now your girlfriend. You're so loyal because it's just like you just want someone to be nice to you. You just want someone to pour love into your love cup and to tell you that you matter. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yes.
What do you feel? What are you feeling right now, big man?
I definitely could see that. I'd never thought of it that way.
Which part? Put it into words so that what part specifically had you never thought about or never seen it that way?
I'm loyal, so I can feel like I'm wanted and loved.
That's exactly right. So I can feel like I'm wanted and loved. And and that's so beautiful. It's so beautiful that you are so loyal. And it's so beautiful that a big dude like you just wants to be loved. Just wants to be wanted, like somebody cares about him. Because the two most powerful people in your life rammed it down your throat, each in their own way, for 20 years of your life or however long. Each of them rammed it down that little boy's throat. And so he got the message loud and clear. You don't matter. I don't want you. I don't want you. And the funny thing is that was sort of the message your girlfriend got when you left. She's like, oh, he doesn't want me. It's like, lady, I tried. I begged you to let me stay. You used those words. You said, I begged her to stay. Begged her to, and I think you meant begged her to let me stay because you wanted to be with her. But there's one problem with being so loyal. There's one problem, or it's not even that. There's one problem when I so want that love from someone, when I so desperately want their love, I want them to stay in my life because when they give me love, even if it's just a little bit of love, it feels so good because no one's ever wanted me before. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so what we do when we so desperately want that love is we hold on and we hold on and we hold on. But sometimes we then allow them to treat us crappy because just don't leave. I'll do anything. I'll give you everything. I'll do anything for you. I will eat all the shit, all the meanness, all the rudeness because I'm used to that because I've been treated mean. My mom's been mean to me my whole life. I know how to eat shit. I know how to take crap. That's familiar. Now, it's not good, but it's familiar. So I'll take all the crap you got. Just don't leave. Okay, then that's the fear operating inside of you, I fucking guarantee. Terrified that you won't have her. Terrified that you will be alone again. Right? That's why you're putting up with all her crap. Rather than saying, because the truth is, TJ, I'll be really honest with you. I'm not seeing anything in what you sent to us that says, and in our conversation, I'm not seeing anything in here that says you're a bad guy. I'm not seeing it. You know, the mere fact that you had that 21-year relationship and then you took time in your own way, granted, you know, you used the bottle. Okay, you're not the first person. You're getting past that. But the point is you learned from it. Oh, shit, I need to do better. There are a ton of women out there that would kill to have a guy who learns and is always finding ways to do better. There are a ton of people out there, men who would love that as a friend, women who would love that as a love or as a friend, a man who cares enough to grow. That's what you're doing. That's what you've been doing is growing. It's hard as fuck, but you've been doing it. And see, now we're getting down to it because the bottom line is the two most powerful people in your life taught you that you're not wanted, that you're no good, that you're unlovable. So I want to ask you a strange question. I know it's going to sound dopey as hell, but just go with me on this, all right? It's a strange question, but the simple question is this. If you were to be totally honest with me, what percent do you love you, TJ?
I say about 25%.
25%. All right. And let me ask you this. What is the reason you think that in one sentence or less, what's the reason you don't love you more? What's the biggest reason?
I let people down.
You let people down. Uh-huh. Who's the biggest person that you've let down?
Myself.
Okay, apart from but the thing is, you didn't grow up thinking you didn't come out of the womb thinking you're a grand disappointment. That was taught to you. I'm just wondering, who have you most disappointed? And is your wife, your ex-wife, your girlfriend, your buddies, your boss, your mom, your dad, or your grandpa? Who do you feel like you've so disappointed? I mean, you keep saying, I've disappointed people. It sounds to me like you got people who are happy to beat you up. And you just keep believing it, and I'm just not seeing it. I'm not understanding what the hell exactly you've done that's so horrible. I'm not seeing it, and I need you to tell me, what the hell have you done that justifies you only loving yourself 25%? Because you seem like a fucking really great guy to me.
It would have to be my girlfriend and my kids.
Girlfriend and your kids. All right. Let me ask you this. What percent do you believe that you're a good person?
90%.
90%. Do you know that 90%, do you know that thinking of yourself as a good person is the same as self-love? I tricked you just there. I tricked you. I asked you a different question, but it's the same thing. Deep down, you believe you are a good person. That's self-love. Now, there may be aspects of you don't like, or there may be aspects that other people are attacking you on, and there may be actual mistakes you made. I'm not disputing you've made mistakes. I've made more than you'll make in 7 lifetimes. I'm a bigger fuck up than you'll ever be. All right, so there's no judgment here, Daddy-O. But the bottom line is you think yourself as a good person, and you're doing work to improve. Dude, you're great. In all honesty, the biggest thing standing in your way, my friend, is that you were taught that you ain't shit. You were taught that you don't matter. You were taught that I wish you were never born. You were taught all this crap, and it was bullshit from the beginning. Let me ask you a weird question, just out of curiosity. How old are you?
43.
You're 43. And how old's your mom?
56. 1956 she was born.
Okay, if she was born, I thought you were saying she was 56 years old. That means she would have 13 years old when she had you. All right.
Right.
She was born in 56. All right, so mom's about 70. Is my math right there? Yeah, 70. If she was born in 56, no, she's 68. She's 68.
Yeah.
Okay, 68. And is your dad still alive?
Yes.
How old's he?
He's 2 years older, so he's 70.
He's 70. Just out of curiosity, what do you most want from your mom still? What do you think you've been wanting from her your whole life, or what is it you still want from her?
I just want her to know that I love her. I don't know what I would want from her.
And if she knew you love her, then what?
Oh, I just want her to love me.
I want her to love me. And if she loved you, then what? I know that's a weird question, but if she loved you, then what?
I think I already know that, her saying that she wishes I was never born would have never happened.
Okay. And so if she loved you, then I'd know what? You started to say, I'd know. What would you know?
I would know that she never meant she wishes I had never been born.
And if you knew that she never meant it, if you knew that, then what?
You're
doing fine, TJ. Stay with it. Stay with
it. It's
it.
$1 million question.
No, if you knew that she never meant it, then what? What would happen inside of you, or what would be different? If you knew that she never meant it, then what?
maybe I would feel like I mattered more to other people and to her.
Maybe I'd feel like I mattered. So in other words, what you're saying is I feel like I don't matter. I'd feel like I mattered more. And then what would you feel inside? If you felt finally like you mattered, what would that feel like?
Empowerment to do better, to treat people better instead of beating myself up and being in this black hole. To have the confidence in myself to make better decisions instead of being in a depression mode to where I second guess everything. To feel like I got this. People love me. I matter. I'm not going to let them down. I can make this decision, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
I can move forward, no problem. And it's mostly the confidence of that I do matter to somebody, and the pride that comes with confidence comes with better decision making.
Right. So I'd not beat myself up. I'd have confidence to know I do matter. And then, yes, eventually you do better. But bottom line is you'd have that feeling inside that knowing that you matter and knowing that you're a good person and wanted and loved and so forth. Did I hear you correctly on that?
Yes.
Right. So what you're fundamentally saying is what I still want from my mom is I want her to know I love her. I love her. And I asked you, well, then what? And then you said, I guess what I really want is her to love me. I said, then what? You said, I'd know that she never meant it when she said, I wish you'd never been born. I said, then what? And you said, maybe I'd feel like I mattered. I said, then what? What would that feel like? You said empowerment and confidence, and I wouldn't beat myself up anymore. So in other words, and I'd finally believe I do matter. Okay. So what you're fundamentally saying is I'm wanting mom to love me so that I can finally matter to myself, so that I can finally feel good about myself. I want my mom to basically wipe out that sentence she said to me all those times by telling me she loves me, because if she loves me, then I can finally sort of be me. Then I can finally feel good about myself and feel good about life. Am I hearing you correctly on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And as maybe you've heard me say before, and I tell clients all the time, it's as if you're in a jail cell. And the jail cell is the belief that you suck and you don't matter and you're unwanted and you're unlovable and all those things. And you believe that the one person who has the key, and we didn't even talk about your dad, but you believe the one person who has the key is your mom. Until she loves me, I'll never matter. Until she loves me, I'll never feel good about myself and never feel confident. And the bottom line is the key to that jail cell is in your pocket. Because the bottom line is you have believed from the beginning, mom is good and she loves me. So if I'm not getting mom's love, there must be something wrong with me. In fact, she flat out told you, I don't want you. I never wanted you. So she's taught you that there's something wrong with you. But I got news for you. I could take a poll of all of our hundreds of thousands, millions of listeners, and I could ask, what kind of mom says, I wish you were never born? And I guarantee probably 99.999% would say a shitty mom. Your mom was not a good mom. You don't say that. She may have had a hell of a macaroni soup, and I would love to taste that someday. So I'm not saying she did everything wrong, but you don't say that to a child. Would it be safe to say, well, let me ask you, which would you rather have? Somebody who just provides for your physical needs or somebody who protects you emotionally and doesn't say shit like, I wish you had never been born?
The emotional one.
The emotional needs, that's right. So here we are, folks, a grown-ass giant of a man telling us that those emotional needs matter. Now, I'm sure that's a huge thing for you to say at 43. You probably didn't think that at 25, but holy shit, you're realizing it now. No. So the reason you weren't getting love wasn't because you were a bad person. When it came to the emotional shit, your mom was a horse shit mom. You weren't the problem. Her parenting was the problem. That means there was never anything wrong with you to begin with. But you've believed your entire life that you were the problem. It wasn't your fault. You weren't the problem. your core belief had been, mom is good and mom loves me. Dad is good, dad loves me. So if you're not getting love from mom, I must be the problem. But what we've just established is no parent should ever say that. You even said, I would never say that. We've established that when it came to emotional care, your mom was a horrible mom. And so the reason you weren't getting love was not because there was anything wrong with you. You were a good, playful, kind, rambunctious. When you were 2, 4, 6, 8, kind, playful, smart, creative, sweet, lovable, you could be ornery when you didn't get the cookie, or, you were a normal kid. There is nothing a 6-year-old can do. There is nothing that a 10-year-old can do, literally nothing, to justify telling that child, I wish you were never born. There was nothing wrong with you, TJ. And it's time for you to start realizing that you do love yourself, that you are a good person, and you've been a good guy the whole time, and you've made mistakes, but who hasn't? And you atone for those mistakes and you move forward. But it's time for you, and I know this is going to sound dopey, it's time for you to begin to fall in love with you, TJ. That's a fact, because there was never anything wrong with you to begin with. TJ, I want to thank you so much for being on the show, and I hope you'll stick around for just a couple of minutes. I want to do an overtime with you, all right? I want to thank you so much. You just, wow. Rob, thoughts?
When he considered all the facts that you laid out and thought about the feelings, he was incredibly eloquent, and I was very impressed with that.
When he was talking about confidence and so on, and empowerment and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, very well spoken. That sort of pulled that one out of your ass, man. I mean, you're good with words, TJ. You are. TJ, on behalf of the team, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You betcha. To all of our listeners, I know we're all feeling gratitude for a guy like this. It gives us all hope in men again. It's just what a neat fella and neat show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. On behalf of my team, KC in the booth, Rob the Rocket sitting next to me, have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by 2-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.